Hi everyone, I'm Ananda, the Galactic Mystic. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about the new moon in Leo, which I'm calling the moon of the new king. And you'll see why I'm calling it that. We have a lot to go over, so let's get started. Welcome everyone. Welcome to my subscribers. Welcome if you are new here. This is Navigational Astrology, where we are navigating the leading edge of consciousness. We're talking about astrology, mysticism, folk magic, following the natural cycles of the earth and of life. We do more of this in my private community, Deep Divers. There's a link to join us in the description box. This is where I'm doing my daily astrology reports, as well as live webinars, classes, and really just like the folks in this group are freaking geniuses, and I'm learning just as much from them, and we're having a really great time. So come join us. Now, we have so much to talk about today, and I am going to tell you that I've done so much research about these times we're in, the astrological configurations coming up. So I'm going to do my best to not make this a super long video, but to give you the high points. Now, I will be going over what this new moon is for us as individuals, for our personal lives, and we're going to be talking about how this is affecting the grander scheme of things. We will be talking about the Federal Reserve. We will be talking about some US astrology, and I'm definitely going to spend a good bit of time talking about this Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction happening on August 1st. There's really there's a lot to talk about. And I think that we have been feeling this for the past several weeks. It's like Monday through Friday have been high, tense, a lot of energy. There's been a lot of, excuse me, geomagnetic storm activity, a lot with Uranus and Mars and the moon. And then we have this buildup of Uranus in the North Node. And now with Mars coming into play, this is a very rare conjunction. If you happened to watch the video I made on the Capricorn full moon, let me know if you noticed this. So at the end of that video, I was talking about the black hole that full moon was conjunct. And it's a really cool black hole that emits an X-ray frequency that matches the beating of a human heart, right? That same day, the day of that full moon, in the news, scientists revealed that they had discovered a heartbeat pattern coming from space. Now, that's not the same, it's not from that black hole. The black hole heartbeat was a much slower than a human heart. And the one that they discovered, or said that they discovered on that full moon, was a much faster beat than a human heart. But I was just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't make this up even if I tried. So that was really cool to see. And I'm curious if any of you noticed that as well. So new moon in Leo, the moon of the new king. Now, I don't literally mean royalty or a king. We have a lot of themes coming up in this new moon about gold, about value, what we value. So let's get into this. Here we have our Leo new moon. This is happening July 28th, 2022 at 1:54 p.m., basically 1:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So here we have our new moon, our sun moon conjunction at 5 degrees and 39 minutes of Leo. So This is the beginning of a new cycle in the axis of love. In navigational astrology, we view the Leo-Aquarius axis, these are the signs that oppose each other, as the axis of love. And this encompasses many things. It is not only giving and receiving love, romance, fun, but it's also the ego, risk-taking, speculation, competition. It's a lot of things. And of course, Leo is, the sign of royalty, the sign of the king and queen, the sign of royal matters. And I don't mean that literally. So Leo energy at its best is what I like to call the welcoming king or the welcoming queen, the warm inviter. This is the type of energy where people feel better in your company, they feel better in your home. And when we embody the positive aspects of this energy, we are warm, welcoming, sharing. This is the vision I always get is like, the ancient kings and queens, they would have their halls lit up with fires and feasts and the mead and the ale flowing, and everyone came in and had a great time, and it was jovial, and that the host, the warm host, everyone felt better being in that space. Now that type of energy goes south when the ego gets into overdrive. And so really, this is kind of a call for us to check our egos. Now, the tarot card that sort of rules this decan of Leo is the Five of Wands, which is about, sort of immature ego struggles, like little boys fighting, their little ego stuff. So the lesson here is that we want to begin a new cycle of healthy ego relationships with ourselves and others, where we maybe embrace competition because it's fun, but we don't need to demean our competitors. We can respect each other and still, have a healthy competition. We don't have to fight each other, even if we're on opposite sides. And the trick is to really see, is it my ego? Is my ego, the thing that's making this feel crappy or be not fun? Because Leo wants to have fun. We want to have fun, but we don't want to have fun at other people's expenses. It's pretty basic stuff, so that's like the personal level where we can focus our energy on at this time, checking our egos, beginning a next level mastership of healthy ego relationships with ourselves and others. Now, we have a conjunction with Asteroid Goddess Ceres here. And there's a whole lot to talk about with this, just with this alone, because we all are hearing things about our food supply. Ceres is 100% involved with that type of stuff. And the interesting thing, there's a lot of interesting things here. One of the interesting things is that we've had a couple conjunctions with the sun and Ceres this year. We had one just earlier in July, and then we had another one, I think it was in April. And that's unusual. That of course has to do with retrograde cycles, but usually that only happens like once every year and a half to 2 years. So we already know that Ceres is, she's actually out of bounds. So yeah, Ceres is amplified in all kinds of ways. For having those extra conjunctions, she's out of bounds, she's conjunct this new moon. So like I said, normally she only is involved with a conjunction with the sun about every 2 years or so, a little bit less. So whenever the sun and Ceres conjunct, issues of food, safety. I see Ceres as like a co-ruler of Cancer. And, that's all about nurturing, healing, homes, our families. And then Ceres is literally about food. So we look at the months around these conjunctions and see what's happening. So what does it mean for us to have Ceres involved in this new moon for us? Well, there's already talk. We already know that there's a situation with our food. How bad is it going to get? We don't know. These conjunctions with Ceres and the Sun in the past have, excuse me, have especially conjunctions in the early degrees of Leo, which is interestingly where the United States North Node is. So any conjunction or major astrological event that happens, around these degrees affects the direction of the United States specifically. So, in 1930, there was a conjunction around here that sort of sparked the beginning of the Dust Bowl, which was a very bad famine in the Great Plains area. In 1976, there was a conjunction here. And I believe during that time, UK had record-breaking heat and drought. I think they're having that this year as well. And for the first time, their government issued food subsidies, and there were high prices and all this stuff. So we know that's already happening. Now, Jupiter is trining this new moon and is going to be stationing retrograde. He will be retrograde until November. And this trine is gorgeous. I mean, especially in combination with the positive potential with a new cycle of Leo, if we are embracing this warmth and generosity of heart and mind, Jupiter is only going to help us with that, where we can be more agreeable with one another. We are ambitious and we don't necessarily have a hard time getting done what we need to get done, even though Jupiter is going to go retrograde. Jupiter retrograde just sort of has us doing the work on the inside to make sure that we've got it right before we bring something out and present it. So this is going to have us doing some inside schooling. And I like that a lot when we're thinking about ego tripping, because ego tripping is an inside job and we don't want to do that. It's so, like, why do we want to do that? It's so lame. There's something about having everyone's approval and attention that we don't always benefit from that. We don't stretch enough when our ego is stroked all the time. So this is going to have us doing the inside work. And I love that. I'm all about that. So again, this is personal level stuff. And if we're going to grow in those ways, we've got to do the work. So this is easy flowing vibes for that, getting over some of that petty stuff, right? The petty stuff has gotten a little bit out of hand during these pandemic years. And, when it comes to like that competitive edge, that competitive nature, there's been a lot of that, if you think differently than me, then that means you're a piece of crap. Where there's like this whole thing about if someone doesn't agree with you, then their worth as a human is totally invalid. And that's so like, come on, we've got to get over this. We've got to move beyond that. And that's not even bringing into the fact that it's all manipulated anyway. But anyway, I don't want to go into that. So here we have the elephant in the room is this conjunction it's not quite exact for this new moon, but it will be exact on August 1st. So Uranus has been setting up shop here with the North Node for a hot minute, and here is Mars coming along. Now, this is major. This is a major astrological event. So Uranus and the North Node conjunct approximately every 15 years. And Mars conjuncts the North Node about every 2 years. So there is a regular alignment of these energies, but these three have not been this close, much less exact in, I mean, I think it's in the 1400s was the last time. So in 1458, Uranus, the North Node, and Mars came into close conjunction, not exact, but this was the time when there was the 1458 mystery eruption. So there are these volcanic eruptions, and they call them mystery eruptions, and they took place in the mid 1400s. Specifically, there was one around 1452, 1453, and then another in 1458. And this was the year of this conjunction. And you know, they've studied this for a long time, trying to figure out what happened here, but they have found evidence that this was a global event that lasted up to 7 years. And if you think about that, the weather patterns would have changed drastically. This would have been like a mini ice age, freezing temperatures, famine, low quality crops. Pretty drastic situation that still is pretty mysterious to at this time. But it's just interesting to note that we have, you know, like I said, Uranus and Mars together are very volcanic. It's interesting that this is a literal manifestation of that. Just some history to add to the pot. This was the last time these three met up, but the time before that was in 324 BC, the last time they were conjunct in Taurus. And they also happened to be conjunct around the same degree. 324 BC, when, you know, Alexander the Great was creating a whole new land. So it's interesting to look at the Sabian symbol, because in both cases, both with the volcanic eruptions, you know, volcanoes create new land. That's pretty interesting. Of course, the process of creating that new land is pretty traumatic. And then, of course, with Alexander the Great creating a new land, you know, with new ideals, a new type of unity, having to, you know, people of all different types and from different backgrounds having to work together for a common goal. That's another, you know, a brand new land. He had some social ideas that were not normal, were very progressive for his time, and, you know, interracial marriage, which people still are not okay with these days. So imagine in the year 324 BC, when Alexander was like, we're gonna, you know, there was a mass wedding where people of different ethnicities were married in order to create a race that was more united. Now, you know, there are parts of that that are cool and parts of that that are a little weird, depending on how you feel about, you know, one worldness kind of stuff. But bottom line, it was a whole new thing. It was a whole new world, and that's what this conjunction is about. The Sabian symbol for 19 degrees of Taurus is a whole new continent. Now, I don't always use Sabian symbols. I like Chandra symbols because they're more, you know, wordy and mysterious. And we'll talk about that, the Chandra symbol in a moment, but the Sabian symbol, a whole new continent, a whole new world, a whole new land. And this is what we're doing. We know this. This is what's happening. We have a whole, this is irrevocable, revolutionary change where we cannot go back. It's going to be a whole new freaking thing, a whole new world. And there's always periods of instability as that is happening. And that's just bottom line. That's just what this is. Now, if we look at the ruler of Taurus, we have Venus here in Cancer, which is again bringing us back to Ceres because, you know, Cancer is about the home and family, security, safety. Taurus is about security, safety, you know, things that are real and tangible, valuing things that are real and tangible. And this is going to get even deeper when I start talking about the asteroids, because there's a lot of references to things like gold, which it's like you can't eat gold. What good is gold when you really need a sandwich if you can't go buy the sandwich with your gold? But we'll get there in a minute. So this is an engine. Mars is the engine. Uranus is radical change, surprising twists and turns of fate. The North Node is where we are all going collectively. This is going to be big. Karma exactly conjunct the South Node. I mean, yeah. Now we have a grand cross here with this conjunction with Karma in the South Node, with Mercury in Leo and Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. This is a fixed grand cross. Now the problem here is that this is a lot of energy. It's tension and it's locked into place and it's fixed energy. So it's extra locked into place. And the danger with this is that we can get stuck in one of these fixed signs energy. Okay, we're meant to balance all of this energy, the energy of Taurus, the energy of Leo, the energy of Scorpio, the energy of Aquarius. This grand cross is asking us to balance all of this fixed energy, to not lean one way or the other too much. Fixed energy already is fixed, so it doesn't like to do new things. It likes to stay where it is and dig in. And there's something to that because the North Node in Taurus has been asking us to do that ever since this cycle began. Now, we are currently in the Scorpio microcycle of this nodal cycle. I hope that's not confusing. But in navigational astrology, one of the unique things that I do is the cycle of each nodal cycle in the signs is broken down into microcycles. And we just entered the Scorpio cycle on the 23rd. So that's another fixed energy, but it's also our South Node. So this is a period of time from now until mid-August where we want to be really aware of not falling into South Node traps. And that's both your natal South Node, if you know what that is, and specifically South Node Scorpio stuff, which is manipulation, gaslighting, like control issues. The shadow of Scorpio is where we don't want to go. We don't want to be engaging in that, especially during this time. We want to really be grounding into Taurus. We just want to make sure if we're getting stuck in this grand cross that it's not here. Okay. If you want to get stuck in, I mean, ideally, we don't want to get stuck anywhere in this grand cross. We want to allow these energies to be balanced. You know, like in my mind, I'm seeing like all of these swords perfectly balanced against one another. That's what we want. It's a precarious balance, but we've got to put our energy towards this in order to maintain a place where we can glean and use the benefits of this energy. The benefits of fixed energy is really about mastering the physical realm. Taurus has been asking us to dig into that this whole time. And really, no matter what happens here, this is still our guidance to remain calm, not to go nuts, to remain calm, not to get all kind of psycho weirdo. And this is not, I'm not saying Scorpios are psycho weirdos. We all have every sign within us. We all have the potential for shadowy Scorpio stuff. This is not about you people who are Scorpios. This is about the energy of Scorpio. Every sign has a shadow side, a most negative potential and a most positive potential, and everything in between. So we just want to make sure we're not falling into that, because with karma here, we'll have to pay for it later for sure. I mean, it's a South Node. Even without karma there, we would have to pay for it later. So Saturn retrograde in Aquarius, this is where we are feeling out of step with society. We are not trusting groups of people. We're not trusting what people are doing. We're feeling a little bit outside of things and wary about the traditional crap that is not working anymore. With Mercury in Leo here, this opposition is where we're really having to face some things around this. Like, I have these grand ideas. I can really see how we can create a world that is open and warm and feeds and heals everyone. But I'm feeling mistrustful and like other people can't help, like we can't get there together. How can we get there with those people? How can we get there with those people? You see what I mean? That the potential for petty tripping out, it's all up in this. Another thing is whenever Uranus and Mars get up on each other like this, it's always like things about explosions and volcanoes and, big kapows, metaphorically and literally. I keep hitting this. I guess I should drink my water since I keep hitting my straw. So it's a big surge of energy. And truly, even after Mars moves off of this conjunction, Uranus and the North Node are still going to be hanging out for most of August. So I keep saying this, it's a long game. Something I forgot to show on the chart, but this new moon is also opposing asteroid Chariklo. Chariklo is the divine partner to Chiron, and Chiron recently went retrograde. So when Chariklo is prominent like this, she helps us form boundaries so that we can heal. And that's how she helps Chiron. And now that Chiron is retrograde, we're doing another layer of like excavation. Chiron is about our wounds of rejection. And there's we all kind of have that. In Aries, he's about our rejection, the rejection that we have experienced for literally being who we are and for existing, being who and what we are and our right to exist. So Chariklo opposing this new moon, I really like her there because she's asking us to create awareness around where we need protective boundaries so that we can do this ego work, so that we can then be a part of the solution in this world that we are creating together, this new world with a new king who might be a queen. We also have on August 1st, the same day of this conjunction of Mars, Uranus, and North Node, we have the feast day, the pagan holiday of Lammas. This is the midpoint in between the summer solstice and the fall equinox. Can you believe it? We're already here. Now, Lammas is the first of the harvest festivals. And in Celtic traditions, this holiday is a reference to the hero Lugh, L-U-G-H, who was basically just an all-around great guy. And the name Lugh means shining one or bright one or radiance or something like that, brightness. And so again, we have this sort of reference to not a kingly figure, but a radiant figure. And Lammas is a time to really think about and give gratitude for our skills, not only the skills that we have, but the skills that we want to learn. And not only doing skills. This is our inner skills, our ability to do our ego trip and work, our ability to create boundaries so that we can have a safe place to heal, our ability to create a warm space and share with others. These are all skills that we have. And Lammas is a great time to give gratitude for all of these parts of us and all of the parts in our loved ones that help us grow in these ways. And it's also just kind of like fall's coming. We're already entering harvest time, which is very exciting to me. But this year has just flown. Oh my gosh. So let's get into these asteroids. We didn't have any major fixed stars to talk about. We didn't have any, major black hole action to talk about. But what we do have to add our flavor to this story are some very interesting themes with the asteroids. So let's get to that. Okay. Asteroid Eagle. A-E-G-L-E. I don't know if I'm saying that right. This is a Greek word that means brightness or splendor. Again, with Lugh meaning brightness or splendor. With this, Leo new moon, we're talking about the new king as a metaphor. Interesting, right? There are several mythological characters that go by this name, Eagle or Eagle. I'm not sure how you say it. One of which, though, is who was one of the Sisterhood of Nymphs, who was in charge of guarding Hera's garden of golden apples. This divine garden was a gift to Hera when she married Zeus. It was a gift from Gaia, the earth goddess. It was a gift from Gaia. And there was a dragon who also protected this garden of golden apples. I want you to remember that. Golden apples, Gaia, and the dragon, because that will come back in a moment. This new moon is also conjunct asteroid Amenotep. Now, Amenotep, also known as Akhenaten, was, he's the one who changed ancient Egypt's whole, religious system. He's known as the father of monotheism. He replaced traditional Egyptian polytheism with monotheism, the worship of the solar disk Aten, the solar god, the sun god. So again, we have the sun, radiance, golden, okay? A change from old ways to new ways. What's interesting about this cycle is that his reign lasted a full cycle of the nodes, which, in 1353 BC, the North Node was in, depending on what time of year he took the throne. The North Node was either in Virgo or in Leo. I'm thinking probably Leo. And then when his reign was done in 1336 BCE, same thing. North Node was either in Virgo or Leo, depending on what month, where in the year that event happened. I think that's pretty interesting. That was a full cycle. And then as soon as he was no longer king, they went right back to their old ways, to their traditional ways that they've always done. The ways of their ancestors was a return of the old. The old was made new again. Akhenaten also was the one that had the strangely shaped face and body. That's when Egyptian art changed. And so it was really a whole weird takeover that didn't quite stick. So we also have asteroid Medea conjunct this new moon. Now, in Greek mythology, Medea was a sorceress who helped the hero attain the golden fleece. Do you see the themes here? Isn't this incredible? So Medea was associated with, she was either the daughter or priestess of Hecate, and she was also related to the sun god Helios. So again, we have that theme. You're not going to believe this next one. This is actually the closest conjunction of everything with this new moon, asteroid Midas, the Midas touch. So of course, Midas was a king in Greek mythology who had been given one wish, and he wished that everything he touched turned to gold, which he was granted. Of course, that didn't work out. Whenever he tried to eat, it turned to gold and he couldn't eat. So you can't eat the gold. He accidentally turned his daughter into gold. It's obviously didn't work out. Midas was very regretful about this sort of greedy wish that he made, and he prayed to Dionysus, who told Midas to bathe in the river. And when he did, he was relieved of this curse, really is what it was. And so after this, Midas actually shunned riches. He left his castle to live a simple life in the woods. He became a devotee of Pan. And there's also a connection to the sun god Apollo here, because he witnessed a musical contest, a competition between Pan and Apollo. Of course, Apollo, the sun god, won, and Midas expressed his favor that he preferred Pan's performance. It was a musical contest. And in retribution for that, Apollo turned Midas's ears into donkey ears. Basically was like, your ears don't work, I'm going to give you a donkey's ears. So talk about ego tripping, right? The sun god be tripping. Speaking of Apollo, so the asteroid Midas is 10 minutes orb conjunction to this new moon. This next asteroid is 12 minutes. So these are very tight conjunctions. Asteroid Pythia conjunct this new moon. Now, in ancient Greece, Pythia was the prophetic priest of Apollo. This is the oracle of Delphi. Delphi was dedicated to Gaia, Mother Earth. And the oracles received their messages from Gaia. Now, when Apollo came, myth says that he killed the dragon or the snake that was guarding the temple. So we have this reference to protector snake dragon that was slain. or, a dragon protecting something sacred. And when Apollo took over, the oracles then channeled him, no longer Gaia, no longer Mother Earth. Pytho or Delphi was considered to be the navel of the earth goddess Gaia, the umbilical of Earth, of Gaia. And the Python, the guardian, was slain by Apollo when he commandeered this sacred spot. There's also an interesting theme around France and Joan of Arc in the asteroid story. So that's going to be interesting to see over the next period of time, like what's going on with France. Even one of these conjunctions with Ceres and the sun happened on the day of the death of Joan of Arc's mother. I thought that was fascinating. It's just so interesting how the web is woven, how the threads combine to tell the story. It's really, really interesting. So these are our asteroids. We have the themes are pretty telling. Now we're going to go even deeper into one of these themes as I read to you the Chandra symbol for Taurus 19. Okay, so remember the Sabian symbol for Taurus 19 is a newly formed continent. So here's the inside degree, the Chandra symbol for Taurus 19, which is where the Uranus-Mars North Node conjunction is happening. A crown turns into goat horns. Like just that alone, that is so many things. That's gold turning into food. That's the elites turning into the common folk. That's the old becoming new again. That's a return of the old ways with a rejection of things that are not practical, etc., etc. We can't eat those gold. We can't eat the gold, just like Midas. He couldn't eat the gold. We can't. What good are these crowns? What good are the people in power when they make rules and laws that they don't have to abide by? They just make the rules for us, and they don't even follow them. I mean, I think we're all tired of that. I'm not going to go on that tyrant. I'm probably going to delete that. I don't know. Okay, Taurus 19. A crown turns into goat horns. A remarkable instinct for the next lesson, finding it, learning it, and drawing everything out of you that you can. Specialized in destiny activation and interested in nothing else. Purposefully driven to take up karmic lessons all the way. Wildly given over to what is taken on. Working the territory as hard as you can. Making way for something new by wearing out the old. Assigned to tough situations, yet knowing it's right, knowing it's appropriate. Super strong and especially tenacious and relentless. In deepest essence, sacrificing yourself so that something can happen here that is going to take a lot of doing. And inside it all, you are curiously resigned to whatever arises. Not very concerned because long-range results mean everything here. And a moment's or a lifetime's comfort, no. A moment or a lifetime's discomfort is a small price to pay when destiny is truly involved. That is so right on. That is so right on. Wow. Just just a quick mention that this new moon is opposing the Uranus of the Federal Reserve. And I know, like, I'm recording this on the 22nd, and I just happen to know that it's either the 27th or the 28th that the Federal Reserve is supposed to announce their next interest rate hike. And so that's pretty interesting to me because it's right on this new moon, and this new moon is in opposition of the Uranus chart of the Federal Reserve. And so I'll just go ahead and tell you that that could create some surprises. And then as we look ahead, the supermoon that we have right before Christmas, the end of this year, is going to be conjunct the sun of the Federal Reserve. So we're in a period of time to really be watching what's, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Again, North Node in Taurus is asking us to have our valuables in tangible stuff. Like, can you eat that paper? Can you eat that gold? Can you build a house with that gold? Can you build a house with that paper? Can you drive that gold? No. What's the real value of your things? What's the real value? And of course, this North Node, this new moon is conjunct the North Node of the United States. So this is a new beginning, a new cycle, a pulling forward for the country. It's just everything. It's just everything right now. Everything. I hope you found this interesting. I sure found it fascinating. And it's, of course, my complete and total joy to be here with you. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. And thank you for liking and subscribing. Come join us in Deep Divers and let's get to know one another. I hope that you have a fantastic new moon in Leo. I'll see you soon.